What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Ethereum today, ETH, USD. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. It is the 23rd day of October, and here we are. Everything seems to be back on its way up, which is nice to see. 23rd of October here, sitting at $3,900, 5 hours, 52 minutes left in this day. We are shaping up real well. I think it's nice to see that we do have higher lows. We have attempts to get to lower price action, and we're just rejecting those attempts fiercely every single time. I don't believe we're going to have too many more attempts down here. You know, the market, the average crypto participant seems to be split in two, right? Half of us think bull market's still on. Half of us think we're on the brink of destruction. Soon enough, we'll have validation come into play. I very much do believe that we're going to see higher targets, not lower targets, you guys. I think that anybody assuming we're going to have lower targets is delusional. They're very delusional, and, well, time will tell, right? Time will tell who the real delusionists are, I suppose. I do believe we have a lot higher to go. Looking at this on a 1 hour time frame, a lot of volume coming in here as we're moving up, a lot of volume at the lows, a lot of volume at that high too. It's kind of interesting, kind of odd, the volume here, the volume levels, but that's okay. Odd volume happens, and really we just got a lot of volume coming in at this low area all in all. It looks like here we're actually set up for this kind of like W-shaped recovery, I would say, and in which case we would expect to move promptly. You know, this is the 1 hour time frame. It's not going to take long, up to prices that are at $4,400 to $4,600. You know, something up in this area is likely what's going to happen next for Ethereum. I truly wouldn't be surprised. You see how slow this took, right? This is from the 13th of October to the 17th of October. That took 4 days. I wouldn't be surprised. Here's the low here on the 22nd. I wouldn't be surprised if it took us 2 days or less. So by the end of tomorrow that we are back above 4,300. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Right? I say it like it's already happened, but we'll see if it does. I do think it will. I do think it will. We got to look at some indicators, but just this idea of a W pattern. Typically, if we have a W, right, this leg of the W is always the fastest leg compared to this one. Typically, almost always, that's actually how it is. So I would expect this move, if this took 4 days, this should take less time, right? And again, typically with W's, what you see is a move that takes you just above where the W started. So something that's just above here, perhaps at prior areas of support or resistance here at about 44 to 4,500. That makes sense to me. Let's look at our liquidation levels real quick. Let's go to Ethereum's liquidation levels and just see over the past 30 days, you know, if there's any serious levels here at $44 to $4,500. Well, $4,400 right here to $4,500 right here, you know, within that window, you do clear out what is the largest volume spike in shorts. So that might be a good area to stop out, right? That might be a good area to restructure things after we clear that zone there, right? We hit this zone and then we kind of consolidate and then we continue building higher. That'd be the expectation. 1 hour time frame, looking at the indicators here, the RSI is productive overall. I love that you rejected the overbought zone, found support on the 50 and immediately came back up to the overbought zone. We love to see that. I don't like that the RSI right now is looking like it's rejecting the overbought zone a second time. However, we do have 49 minutes left in this hour. The way to negate this rejection off the overbought zone is to get this hour to close green. We're only down 0.4%. We have 49 minutes left in the hour to go. I have a feeling we will close this hour green. We close this hour green and we're getting into the overbought zone instead of rejecting it, which would be nice. That's a good change of pace. You know, here when we got into the overbought zone, let's just see what kind of interactions we were having, right? Here, by this time we were here. Did we have more growth to go? We were at $3,900. Yes, we did. We went all the way up to about $4,100. So 39 to 4,100. That's a couple $100 in movement right there. I think we could expect to see the same thing here, if not even more than that, which might imply then that by, you know, sometime by the end of tomorrow, again, that we're at 41 to 4,400, you guys. Maybe $4,500, something like that. Stochastics look bullish. MACD looks bullish. We do have bearish divergence in all fairness, but this move right now, and even last hour's move, if anybody's looking at this, I want to help you, because if you're thinking this is bearish divergence, first off, you're right. Lower highs here, bearish divergence, right? You're getting that here with the higher highs in the price. You're right, but it's not bearish divergence anymore. At least it's not something that you should really weigh on, because this last hour you came down below the price levels where the divergence started. You already had your move down. You already had your pullback. This bearish divergence already came to full fruition, and now we're likely going to continue going higher. You back tested last hour and found support at prior resistance. Tell me you're not going higher, man. You're going to go higher. 4 hour time frame, looking at this here. Yeah, stochastics look great. They look phenomenal. This tells us that we have days, likely days of growth to go. At least tomorrow, if not going into the weekend, we should be seeing some positive things going on. The MACD, nice trajectory here, crossing green right now. What I like is that you flipped red You flipped right here. You had some bearish momentum being built, and what you do, you formed a higher low. Your bearish momentum was being built, pretty similar to the amount of bullish momentum that was built back here, and yet you had a higher low. And you do have lower highs, to be fair. So, but a higher low there, I think, paired with this, paired with that, I think that we are shaping up to not just break this kind of downward sloping trend, but to even break out again above this high. It just keeps coming back, getting to prices above that high. That's the expectation there. We take this from a overall high to the low. I trust Coinbase's wicking low, but maybe I shouldn't because Coinbase was down too. Let's put it at this low. There we go. Look at that. Look at how well respected that is. You tipped the golden ratio there. Now, I want to be clear. What I just did was I took the top to the low, and then I said, you know what? We were actually closed. The markets were all closed. All the exchanges, the major exchanges were closed. They're all shut down, so that might not be real price action. So I took the next low after the exchanges started to open again. What I didn't do was I didn't find a price that lined up perfectly with this high to hit the golden ratio. That's what I didn't do. It just happens to be that if you put this high to this low, that makes sense. We tipped the golden ratio for resistance, reinforcing the idea that this is the proper fib to use, not this, right? Look at all the respect here at these various levels that you're getting. Look at all the respect. This is the proper fib, okay? And I'm going on such extensiveness to address this because I know a lot of people watch these videos because they're aspiring technical analysts themselves. I don't want to have people doing things the wrong way, right? I didn't just do this to match it up with the golden ratio. I did this because this low makes more sense. You had to use some applied logic there. And because we did that, look at the respect, the direct respect that we're getting at all these various levels here, you guys. Okay. Anyways, we are showing respect here. We likely will break out. And again, when we break out above here, we've already found resistance to the golden ratio. What's the next target? It's the 786 to the 886, which again happens to be above here if we were to go just above our W there. It makes so much sense, you guys. We're going up to 45 to 4,600. I wasn't bullish enough. 45 to 4,600, and we likely see that by the end of October. It's possible we could even see new all-time highs by the end of October. How crazy would that be? I think that'd be nuts. It'd be great. But everything looks good here, man. Everything really does look good here. We're just kind of doing a... what's the word I'm looking for? It's like pre-celebratory. We're doing a pre-victory lap here. I don't know. Premature victory lap. Yeah. Which, not normally is that a good thing. But here, you do have bullish divergence on your MACD on the daily time frame, which is nice. The daily RSI is at an area that it does like to find support at, but right here between the 40 and the oversold zone, typically you do like to find support either right there at the 40 or sometimes just below there. Right here, tons and tons of support there, man. I mean, you love this area for support, and you have been in a downtrend, right? You've got lower lows and lower highs here, lower lows there, lower highs here. I think we're shaping up to break this trend, right? I think really what we're doing is we're shaping up to start a new trend, right? You see it, right? We're going to shape up to start a new trend, an upwards trend here. Oftentimes that's what happens. You kind of mold an uptrend into a downtrend, right? Like here, you think that you're still in an uptrend, but really you're in the forefronts of a downtrend, right? Right here, you're in the forefronts of a downtrend. Same kind of idea. You might think you're still in a downtrend, but I think we're in the forefront of an uptrend here. Stochastics look good. They make me think that we have more growth to go over not just the coming days, but even the coming weeks, okay? Imagine down here, you had the foresight to expect the stochastics would be overbought, okay? You had the foresight to expect it. We're at these same levels right down here, okay? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Even on the 9th day, that was the high. 8 to 9 days of growth afterwards. We got the same thing left here. We're literally going to pump into the end of this month, guys. That's what's going to happen. I don't know if we'll be at new all-time highs, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm more thinking we'll probably see targets again around 46 to 4,400, something like that going into the end of the month. Consolidate a little bit. Start off November on a downward note, right? Move up like this into the end of the month. Move down like this into the beginning of the month, and then move up. Then we break out. Then the real magic starts to happen. And the daily MACD would agree as well that we are overdue for some upside here pretty soon. We zoom out to the weekly. Where are we going to go whenever it is time to break out? Well, I'm glad you asked because overall, this right now to me, it looks like a giant bull flag. That's what it looks like, right? We take the scam wick out. It's a giant bull flag. That's what it seems like. So from a low to a high here, we measure our giant bull flag. It's absolutely ginormous. Put it at the low that actually counts, that's being respected by the fibs, not the imaginary low that could only happen whenever the exchanges are all closed in a coordinated effort to push the price down in a fantasy land of non-existent, non-real price action. We're not going to count that low is all I'm trying to say. That takes us to $8,600. That's the measure move. Now, it's important to remember that with measure moves of a bull flag, that it is simply what it says it is, right? It's a measurement. It's an idea, okay? It's an idea. Sometimes we fall short of ideas. Sometimes they meet right on the money, and sometimes we exceed our ideas. Sometimes that happens too. So $8,600, are there any areas that line up with that area? Well, if we take a high here, what was the high of this cycle so far, to the low, and obviously we're above that now, the golden ratio is actually right there. And as I said, with these bull flags, sometimes you fall short. Even in bullish all-time high breakout situations, sometimes you fall short. And sometimes you exceed them. And sometimes we stop right in the middle. To me, wicking above the golden ratio, I could see it happening. I could see us wicking to $8,600. It could happen, right? Because look at this. If we delete these white lines here, if I delete these here, you can see that Ethereum right now has actually stopped in an area that kind of doesn't make sense in itself with the fibs. It doesn't make sense from a high to a low to stop right here. It doesn't make any sense at all. It makes sense to find support at the 0.8. Typically, actually, whenever you do this exact reaction, you do expect to go right up to the golden ratio. It's kind of funny. The fibs, I'm not making this up. The Fibonacci retracement, this is my bread and butter. I've been doing this for 10 years. In my experience, I did not learn this in a textbook. This is my experience here. And what I'm telling you is in the 10 years that I've done analysis, when you have this type of behavior, you just straight line, you beeline it right to that golden ratio. And it can be a zone. Maybe you stop just below. Most likely you would stop just above. And hey, that lines up perfectly with our bull flag measurement. So, all this time we've been looking at 8,000. Maybe we do go a little bit above 8,000. Maybe you exceed it and you go to 10,000. I don't know. I would think more so. I think we've got it on the head here between 8 and 9K. That's where you're going to go. But likely you see it in a very similar fashion of time from a low to a high. If we were to time this out properly, as of last week, that's the low. By the end of the year, we should be at prices that are at $8,000 or more. And that I'm very much behind. I very much believe that that's going to happen. I don't have really anything else that I want to talk about. We can talk about all-time high potential, right? Where's Ethereum going to go by the end of this cycle? I got one guy who's who claims that I said Ethereum would be at $90,000 by the end of this cycle. I've never made such a claim because that's just crazy. First off, I want you guys to understand, if anybody's saying that Ethereum is going to go to $90,000 or even prices that are like at 30,000 or more, I think they're crazy. But in my own definitions, we take a cycle high to a cycle low. The way that I do analysis typically for cryptos is that first off, I look at the market cap. Okay, but second off, if we're looking at the fibs, cryptos don't really go above their 2272. Okay, high to low, you don't get cryptos whenever they see new highs in the next cycle. You don't see them get above their 2272. Typically, that doesn't happen, especially for large cap coins. Typically, that doesn't happen. So anybody saying that I was calling for Ethereum to go to 90K, there's nothing that lines up there that makes any sense for me. So you're just literally lying. But I'm not going to lie to you. I do not believe we're going to go to 90K. I don't believe we're going to go to 42K. I believe Ethereum will stop somewhere between about $14,000 to $27,000 by the end of the cycle. That's the expectation. That's been the expectation for years now. For the people who don't have ears in the back there, it's been the expectation for years now, and it's not going to change until we have enough data to suggest that it does change. Moving up to $10,000 by the end of 2025, that I think that only reinforces the idea that we're going to go here really by the end of the cycle, by April, May, or June. I don't have anything else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the like button. If you didn't, leave a scathing remark in the comments. I will get to it, I'm sure. Maybe I won't. Don't feel left out. I'm a busy guy. There's a lot of comments to sift through sometimes, but oftentimes whenever I do go through the comments, I'm actually sifting through the scam comments, and I just block and hide those comments because there are a bunch of scams out there, guys. If you're ever looking at my videos, my comments, and you notice that there's a lack of scams in my comment section compared to others, just understand I do spend like an hour or two a day going through scams and just deleting them because I don't want to see people lose money. People genuinely fall for them, and they're not dumb. These scammers are just sophisticated, man. If you fall for a scam, it's of no fault of your own, right? Like, these scammers really are sophisticated. I mean, there are some scams that anybody should see coming, but they're very sophisticated, and I don't know why I'm talking about this so much. Don't get scammed. Don't get scammed in the comments. It's a perfect place to get scammed is in the YouTube comments or maybe even in a Discord. Just be careful. Telegram groups, right? Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Drink some water. Brush your teeth. You know who you are. John. Ho, ho, ho. We caught John with morning breath. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.